The movie begins in a small bar, where a man named Joseph waits for his sister, Sydney. They have just stolen $1 million, and now the police are after them. They need a place to hide, at least for some time. Sydney joined this robbery because she was buried in debt. She wanted to use the money to give her little daughter a better life. Joseph had a plan. He said he once met a woman who owned an old house in a nearby village. It's been empty for years. They can hide there until things calm down. Once the heat is over, they'll go back to their old lives and start anew with the stolen money. While they were still talking, the sound of police sirens echoed outside. Panicking, they rushed out through the back door and ran into the nearby woods. There, they changed their clothes, threw their old ones into a pond, and kept their guns ready. Then they began their journey toward that mysterious house. Sydney completely trusted her brother. After hours of walking through fields, they heard the sound of gunshots. When they finally reached the house, they saw 3 local boys shooting bottles and laughing nearby. Sydney walked up to them with her gun and told them to leave. They didn't take her seriously, until Joseph suddenly fired a warning shot from the other side. Scared, the boys ran off. Joseph turned to his sister and said, "We should get inside. Now." They entered the house. The place was old and abandoned, covered in dust and cobwebs. It looked like no one had lived there for decades. Furniture was scattered and the floor was filthy. But here's the strange part. The woman who gave Joseph this house had told him a secret. This house is not ordinary. It's a time travel house. It can send people to the past, the future, or even another world. Joseph didn't believe her completely, but he thought maybe this could be the perfect hiding spot. No one would ever find them here. The woman had given him instructions. 2 old clocks in the house had to be set in a specific way. The clocks controlled something hidden. Just then, the sound of police sirens grew louder. Sydney panicked. "They're here! We have to run!" But Joseph said, "No, we'll go to the basement. The door only opens with the clock's combination." They quickly turned the clock hands as instructed. A secret door opened. They ran down into the basement, shutting it behind them. They could hear footsteps upstairs. The police were inside, searching the place. In the basement, Joseph opened an old diary and told Sydney to use the telephone nearby. She dialed a strange number written in the diary and spoke 3 odd words, some kind of code. Suddenly, everything went dark. Silence. Then, light flickered back. When they came out of the basement, the house had changed. Everything looked new. Furniture clean, walls freshly painted. It was as if they had gone back in time, to when the house was brand new. Joseph checked the diary again. The instructions had worked. They had time traveled. Sydney couldn't believe what she was seeing, but Joseph said calmly, "They're safe here now. No police, no danger. They just have to stay for 14 days. After that, they'll return to their own time." The kitchen was filled with food. Old records and movie tapes lay on the table. Everything they needed to survive. For the first few days, they relaxed. Joseph explored the nearby fields but didn't go too far. He'd been told the house had a limit, a boundary they could never cross. Sydney spent her time cleaning, cooking, and thinking about her daughter. She tried to stay hopeful. Every night, they counted their money and planned their future. Days passed. By the 13th day, they'd almost forgotten the danger outside. They talked about their childhood, their parents, and their broken past. Sydney reminded Joseph how distant he had always been, but now, at least, they were together. On the 14th day, they were finally ready to return. They cleaned up the place and followed the steps written in the diary to go back. But when they reached the basement, the door was locked. Someone had shut it from outside. On the door, a message was scratched. "If you want to go back, go to the old mill." Sydney panicked. She ran out toward the mill. Joseph followed, trying to calm her down. Inside the mill, they found something shocking. A setup like a church, with candles, symbols, and an old dead body lying nearby. The body was decayed, dressed in old clothes. Beside it stood a wooden board that said, "You are trapped in a time loop. If you wish to stay, sign below."
Sydney was terrified. She refused to sign and ran out of the mill in fear. But as she crossed the invisible boundary outside the property, she suddenly started coughing blood and collapsed. Joseph carried her back inside. She slowly woke up, horrified to realize they couldn't leave. They were prisoners. Joseph then revealed the truth, that the dead woman they saw in the mill was the same woman who had given him the house. They were tricked. This was all part of something much darker. Realizing there was no escape, Joseph finally signed the paper. As soon as he did, a safe appeared in front of them. He used the diary again and entered a code to open it. Inside the safe was a tape recorder and a note that read, "Speak something, then close the safe. Your words will create a connection." Joseph said softly, "Hello," and shut the safe. After a minute, he opened it and played the tape. To their shock, a strange man's voice replied, "You shouldn't be here. Go back to your home." The voice knew everything about the robbery, their hiding, even their conversations. Sydney tried talking to the voice, thinking maybe he wanted a share of the money. She was willing to give it if he'd help them escape. But the voice said, "I don't want your money." Joseph suspected the voice belonged to someone from the future, or maybe from another dimension. Whoever it was, he was controlling everything. Then the voice said something terrifying. "If you want to survive, you must kill someone. A stranger will come. Kill him. Only then can you return to your timeline. If you don't, your existence will be erased." They were shocked. "Who is he?" Sydney asked. The voice replied, "We don't know. He entered this place too, but we lost his signal. He could appear any time. He will try to kill you first. Kill him before he kills you." Joseph and Sydney armed themselves, hiding weapons around the house. They took turns guarding, waiting for the unknown man to arrive. Months passed. No one came. But strangely, every time the fridge was empty, it would refill itself. The house was trapped in a loop, repeating everything endlessly. Sydney started searching the house's history. She found documents showing that every item in the house came from a different time. 1930, 1955, 2000. Nothing belonged together. It was all collected, like part of an experiment. She realized they were the subjects of a secret experiment that had been running since 1955. Joseph grew angry and restless. He went to the mill every day, trying to speak to the man through the recorder, but got no reply. Then one day, while Sydney was outside guarding, Joseph saw a figure in the distance, a man with a rifle aimed at Sydney through binoculars. Before he could shoot, Joseph shouted, warning her. Sydney ran inside as bullets tore through the walls. A violent fight followed, where the stranger wounded Joseph and dragged him back to the mill. He wanted Joseph to lie, to tell the people controlling the house that he had killed the intruder. When they asked for proof, Joseph said, "The cold buried him. He couldn't find the body." But they knew he was lying. Meanwhile, another safe appeared at home. The voice spoke again. "The man you saw, he's not you. Not Joseph, not your parents, not your future self. But you must kill him." Later, the stranger entered the house again. Sydney attacked him. They struggled, and when she pulled off his mask, she froze in horror. It was her daughter. Just then Joseph arrived. He didn't see the girl's face. He thought she was the stranger. He raised his gun. Sydney tried to stop him, screaming, "No, don't shoot!" But Joseph fired, and the bullet hit Sydney instead. She died in her brother's arms, never getting the chance to tell him the truth. The girl escaped. Heartbroken, Joseph buried his sister's body in the garden. Then he begged the people controlling the house, "Please, send me back. Let me fix this, just once more." They agreed and sent him back to the day before it all began, the day they robbed the money and decided to hide in the house. In that past timeline, Joseph killed his own past self, then took Sydney to the house again, trying to change destiny. But fate repeated itself. Every time something went wrong, every time Sydney died, over and over. The same loop continued endlessly. Years passed. In the final scene, an old Joseph sits in the same bar from the beginning. Sydney walks in, looking exactly as she did the first time. Joseph looks at her with tired eyes and says, "I tried so many times to save you, but every time I failed. The loop keeps repeating because of my greed. There's only one way to stop it. You must kill me. Leave the money. Go back to your daughter. Don't go to that house. As long as you stay away, the loop will end." Sydney cries. He forces her to shoot him, and she does. Then she runs as police sirens wail outside. But as she escapes, we realize the cycle will repeat again. She will go back to the house, and it will all start over. The film ends.